Now I also want to talk about this downtown development story because this keeps coming up. We had the Lowe's Hotel, luxury hotel, much needed 20-story-ish hotel, some 500 rooms to help bring more convention center traffic to the newly renovated convention center. And then that fell through despite all the tax breaks, despite all the jostling that went on, and then they blamed COVID for that. And now we've got the Grand Hyatt that was another multi-hundred room hotel to be part of really a trio of Hyatts that would be all together there. And the Carlisle team is the one building that. Let's try and bring you up to date. I'll show you a story that we worked on earlier this week to bring you up to speed, and then we'll take it from there. Project comes with a glitzy video showcasing its fine dining and 2 Hyatt-branded hotels that are already up and running. But it's the project's 3rd Hyatt hotel, a nearly 400-room, skyline-changing, 20-story Grand Hyatt that's in jeopardy tonight. The Carlisle Corporation says the nearly $200 million project is the kind of luxury hotel that could bring events like the NBA All-Star Game to Memphis, not to mention hundreds of jobs. But the mayor told me what the developer wanted from Memphis was just too much.
This is just a huge ask of the taxpayers of Memphis. As I outlined in my weekly update, we've offered them more incentives than any project in the history of the city. And apparently it's not enough.
In addition to the other tax breaks, the most controversial was asking the city to basically co-sign or back 100% of the loan to build the hotel, something called a backstop. Back in April, Memphis agreed to a 50% backstop, but with bond rates and inflation rising, developers now want a 100% backstop. Well, that got the attention of even the state comptroller, who warned Memphis would be putting its financial health at risk if the hotel failed and investors walked away, because it would leave taxpayers on the hook.
The experts are saying it's a bridge too far, and I got to listen to them.
Strickland says he still doesn't understand why the developer didn't break ground back in April when the 50% backstop deal was done.
Why didn't they issue the bonds then? Why didn't they start construction back then? We're now months down the line, and through no fault of anybody else, the bond market has changed.
Strickland says the city even offered a $5 million low-interest loan to help close the financing gap, but that was rejected. Where does this project go from here, do you think?
I really don't know. I hope it works.
Yeah, so the mayor not sounding too hopeful there. Sam, I know you've been following this story as well, talking to the developers. I wasn't able to get a hold of them. What is where do you think this stands right now, having been able to hear from both sides?
Yeah, I haven't heard from both sides and doing some reporting this afternoon. The development is alive, kind of. Like, how are we to describe it as alive? You know, what I heard from Chance Carlisle this afternoon is they are still waiting on what essentially is the city's response to an offer from Carlisle Group that would remove the 100% backstop of the debt, that there would be some other mechanism here that would allow this to move forward and give Carlisle Group the amount of bond proceeds, the amount of money they get from selling bonds to facilitate the development. As what he said to me today is they have not received that response from the city. If time is really of the essence here, the clock could be ticking.
He's out on a lone island right now with his position on this, and he admitted to me, yes, other cities do 100% backstop on a big project like this. It's not unheard of, but he just didn't feel Memphis was in the financial shape to do it.
Well, he might be in a lone island at City Hall, but I believe that people in the community, taxpayers, they're probably with Strickland on this one. A 100% backstop is a lot to ask when the city has other financial needs. So I think Strickland is speaking for the population here, not necessarily for the city council in what he's saying here, and he will get backstop from the voters and people in the community who think that he is being fiscally responsible.
Of course, Brad, Memphians don't have to go that far back. We pretty much took it on the chin and everything 100% on the on FedEx Forum when that was being constructed.
Yeah, it's to Otis's point and to Sam's point. I mean, there's two kind of schools of thought here. Yes, Otis is right. There are other needs for many other things in this community, including Regional 1. That's more on the county side, but I know Catherine Burgess was reporting that a couple of weeks ago. But also at the same time, you just spent $200 million to renovate the convention center downtown, and a lot of people from the the tourism industry, the hotel industry say without another hotel, we're really going to be hurting to get those big kind of transformative conventions throughout the year that will help the economy locally. So there's definitely two schools of thought here. I know Mayor Strickland's played pretty, I wouldn't say hardball, but very firm in previous issues, including Tom Lee Park. There was a mediator with that. So will kind of cooler heads prevail, and they'll come up with a deal that both sides can agree to. That's what we'll have to see in the coming weeks.
So, Sam, we only got a minute left. I want you to finish us off here, but talk about this larger problem of just what a big deal it is. 30 seconds, I'm being corrected here. Finding the kind of financing required for a huge project like this.
So I think there are two things we're really talking about here is, whether the community really needs another convention center hotel, which the tourism industry will tell you yes, others will tell you maybe not. Yeah. And then there's the option of how do you, entice someone to make almost $500 million or $1/3 billion investment here. And the city, has not been willing, and throughout really Strickland's administration, beyond the convention center, the city has not really been willing to put the general taxpayer at risk in any of these deals. There was no city cash on the table with the Lowe's deal.
Yeah.
The MLG&W contributed utility work. That was it. Okay. So here, that's the furthest risk that the city has gone, was the 50% backstop.
Okay, well, we got to leave it there, running a little bit over, but thanks, guys. I really appreciate your input today, and thanks to the viewers at home. We'll see you next week for ABC 24 This Week.